it also, in some ways, wonderful in that it connects with some of the work that Sharaad has been doing. And I'm thinking in particular work here called Nightmare of Moyang Bajus, which has this scene of desolation, the land of desolation, the horizon of the Straits of Malacca with the ships passing by, the dark cloud, and also this dancer in traditional costume. Sharaad, tell us about that particular work.
Yeah, that I was inspired from my trip with the community of Mamari near Polokeri and Sungai Judak. This
where Port Klang is basically.
Yeah, it's a Port Klang, nearby Port Klang. So this ceremony is called Puja Pantai or sea worship ceremony. So basically the two villages together, they march the so-called shaman, lead the marching toward to the sea, toward to the beach, and then they will bring food to offer to the ancestor spirit, and also they will perform this ritual dance at the noon, and then they offer food and asking for blessing from the ancestor. And while we walking to the beach, and we actually saw the ship line of like a street of ship passing by, from the horizon, and you actually can see some of the mangrove dead mangrove tree been chopped down, and now so remind me the story of being told by the community that they worry that the village will be threatened from the expansion of the port. So when the Port Klang expansion gonna go, they will lose that land for them to do their religious purposes, and also it's also thinking about how long they're gonna be worried about that, and then thinking about how am I gonna do as an artist and to tell a story. So it's been a long time. This story has been in my mind, and actually it's become one of my dreams. And I realized that I need to paint it, and I need to tell a story. Otherwise, it's my responsibility, and also it's everybody's responsibility to know what the condition down there, and also as a citizen of Malaysia, I think people need to know the community.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, your work is always connected, not just with the community, but also the situation that the community finds itself. Deforestation is a big issue,
Absolutely.
and I've seen that in your work. And also, I think the question of modernization and modernity, right? So the ships in some ways represent the encroachment of a very different way of thinking about life, about ourselves, about money that is, grips and dominates our society. But the Oranasi communities have always been at a kind of margin to that, right? They have chosen to come into the wage economy or stay out of it for whatever reason. So there's this wonderful coming together of all these themes in that particular work. I do want to ask you though, how do you as a person balance these things? The tradition, the community, its religion, weaved into its art, plus the fact that you're a modern human being living in contemporary times, accessing all this technology and modern education, so forth. Do you live with a split personality? How do you deal with it?
I think that's actually explains why Land of Thousand Guilt is.
Yeah, this is your personal sense of guilt.
Half of it is my personal guilt, and half of it about we live in the Land of Thousand Guilt.
Right.
So that's why the title Garden, if you look in another piece of my work is my self-portrait, you can see.
Yeah, the self-portrait is very interesting because, there you've erased your mouth, right?
Yes.
And it's a bit literal, but what exactly would you say if your ability to speak was restored in that image?
You mean if the voice
could come out? Yeah.
Well, I think people will understand the whole situation with our indigenous people in this country. That's the most important thing. That will help in the longer term. Will help to heal all the wound that been in the community, because I realize now so many people still doesn't understand the situation in indigenous people, because the lack of representation, lack of the space for us to share our knowledge, share our stories, for example. That opportunity need to be there. That's why in this work, I almost paint all of it in portrait, because I literally want people to see at least a face of indigenous people. I easily can just paint pretty flower or beautiful landscape or something, but I think most important thing for me now as an artist, because I live in the city now, I feel like it's not many images being shown in the city.
Why have Orang Asli disappeared? In a country where we celebrate indigeneity, we say indigenous people are primary, they are supposed to be the core of our cultural politics, and yet the Orang Asli find themselves in the margins, and their faces, their names. I mean, you have a wonderful name. It's kind of, I don't know how many Malaysians have come up to you and said, fellow Malaysians said, is that a Malaysian name? Have you had that? I mean, why has Orang Asli culture and its image largely been invisible?
Well, I think because it's political system, systematic racism is there, and the problem will stay there. Is if you tackle the systematic racism and also the religion issues and so many what's it called? I would say little issue they make it into big. The indigenous issue will become really small. So I think if I'm a person in charge of our representation of Malaysia, I will put something that really important, that really talk about Malaysia, that I think we need to put prioritize on. Because if you look in the headline of the news, you usually end up with a headline that talking about nonsense thing, and something that you're not really...
and you're absolutely right. There's also this problem that we, at least in terms of culture, there's the Malay, Chinese, Indian thing of Malaya, and then maybe the indigenous people of Sabah and Sarawak, the territories, so Iban, Karazan, Dusun, get represented. But a lot of communities, we live in a country of so many languages, the Temuan language, that I think many of us would not even recognize if we heard it. I want to ask you though, as somebody trying to represent a community, but also an artist who's an individual, do you get trapped by your politics? Is your art trapped by the fact that you want to represent your community?
Well, this is a good question, because I was thinking about it quite a lot, and then after reading many books as well, and sometimes I have thinking maybe I should break away of what I'm doing now, but this is what I'm enjoying to do. Why give up something that I love to do? It's like you force yourself because you're afraid to be categorized by certain people. But this is from my heart. This is not what this is not like a job that I need to pose and I need to pretend to people that in order to get money I need to pretend in front of camera or so on. This is not. This is like directly from my heart, and it's something that I really enjoy. It's just
okay. I want in the few minutes that we have left, the image behind us, right? And it's again, I think it's from the Mameri community.
Yeah.
It again has the ships, very small ships. They're there. I see them on the horizon. Tell us about that. I mean, why is that image, which is so powerful, why did you want to depict that?
Because, of course, the ship is there because our consumerism culture, That's why the ship is there. And I saw the indigenous people, the image like that is become still a taboo in our community. Still feel like we are afraid to show something. For example, the spirit of image of a spirit, spirit object or spirit, almost a religious spirit thing, still a taboo in my community. So, but I want to break that kind of mentality, because if you keep doing that, nobody will see the indigenous, culture, for example.
Right. So this is a sacred image that usually doesn't get
absolutely
doesn't get shown outside.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Moyang Bajos. It's the same thing.
Right.
Because in my community, sometimes we cannot say this name in the night, for example. That's another taboo.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're afraid the spirit will possess you, for example, and that and you won't get luck. You will get bad luck all the time.
Right.
If you break that taboo.
Okay, in the 5 minutes we have, I know you're having a show at Balai Sani at the end of the year. It's going to be a solo show.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what we can anticipate from your work for the end of the year.
That one's gonna be interesting, because I won't do anything, any work on the conventional material. I will use the material from my community. So I don't. The only thing that I use is acrylic or oil or colorized. Then and the rest of it I will use traditional indigenous material. For example, the weaving that you see here. That's one example that I will show.
In fact, I really look forward to your show at the end of the year. I've been speaking to Sharaad Kuttan, indigenous artist. This show here, Land of 1,000 Guilds, Richard Cove Fine Art in Bangsa. That's all we have for you this week. Come back next week. I'm Sharaad Kuttan, only on Astro Wadi.